Hi, and welcome back to GradLife, the YouTube series where I talk about my life post-graduation. Today we're going into the specifics of my job as an edit assistant in a post-production facility in London. So as mentioned in earlier videos, I came straight from my degree into an edit assistant job in a pretty big post house in London. I applied on their website and I received an interview shortly after where we primarily discussed my knowledge of Avid Media Composer. I was also asked about previous job experience and how that would help me in speaking to clients, like fairly basic stuff. The people running the interview were very aware and very accepting of my background, aka I didn't really have much of a background in the industry, so they didn't ask me any crazy technical questions. They just got to know me as a person and it was very lovely and very chilled out. They asked me about Avid Media Composer because that is the industry standard software for film and television. Now, I don't hate Premiere before all of the internet editors try and come for me. I was a Premiere specialist at my old company, so I used both softwares on a regular basis. It just so happens that at the current time, at this moment in time, Avid is still the industry leader for film and television. I find things like commercials tend to prefer Premiere because it's a fast turnaround project, and that's kind of what Premiere is built for, things like commercials and YouTube videos, whereas Avid really lends itself to film and television, primarily because loads of people can use it at the same time. So you can have one project being used by multiple editors and edit assistants, and that's exactly what it's built for. And then softwares like Final Cut really aren't widely used to my knowledge. I personally trained in Final Cut many years ago. I did Final Cut, then I learned Premiere, and then I went over to Avid. So it's definitely a good thing to have in your repertoire, but to my knowledge, it's not widely used in the industry, and anytime I've used a Final Cut project, it's primarily been to transfer it over to Premiere or Avid. Avid as a company also makes hardware, not only software. So Avid Media Composer tends to be used in tandem with the Avid Nexus storage system. And Avid creates some of the most secure server storage facilities that you can have. And as of 2020, it really is one of the most stable workflows you can have on a large scale. So it's really a no-brainer that a lot of TV shows and movies use it, because if you have a top secret production in, you want that to be as secure as possible. And that's something Avid can offer that at the minute Premiere doesn't really do. That's not to say Premiere isn't catching up. Like, there's so many things that Premiere does far better than Avid, but for the time being, at least on like a large scale, Premiere just isn't a very viable option, so Avid is still something you need to learn. Now, part of my job is quality control, so yes, there are days when I go into work and my job for that day is to sit in a room and watch TV. I check primarily for technical faults, so that can be anything from dead pixels to spelling errors, graphics mistakes, unrendered graphics, anything that just looks a bit weird. But my job is also to check that something is broadcast legal. And broadcast legal is just a fancy way of saying that the file meets the specification for which it was commissioned. Most TV channels in the UK require an AS11 file laid out to a DPP specification. I will explain what that means. So the AS11 part of this is just the type of file the computer generates in order for it to be broadcastable. And the DPP is a specification made up by the Digital Production Partnership, which is made up of all the major UK broadcasters such as BBC, Channel 4, Channel 5, ITV, like your big dogs. One year they all got together and they created a baseline which became the DPP specification, and that is everything from your start time to your part durations and the durations of your ad breaks, the quality of picture, the quality of your archive. It makes life a lot easier for me to only remember the one. I appreciate that. So one of the most important things I do during quality control is I run an automated test called the Harding test. And now this test is put in place to make sure a file or TV show is suitable for people who have photosensitive epilepsy. The Harding test fails essentially when something flashes for an extended period of time. And this became a legal requirement because back in the day, an episode of Pokemon, of all things, was so flashy, it actually caused someone to have an epileptic fit, which obviously we don't want. Running a harding test is practically impossible to do with the naked eye, so we have software such as Vidchecker that watch the file for us essentially, and it watches for luminance levels, it watches for the speed of flashes, and if Vidchecker deems it okay to put on air, it'll give you a pass certificate, and that pass certificate then gets stuck to the file, and that means it can go on TV. If it fails, you have to take it back into the edit and change it and basically run the test until you get a pass certificate, because without that pass certificate it is illegal to broadcast. So that was a lot of information, I am aware, but working in TV and being a TV editor, being an assistant editor is actually a very technical job, and it helps to know as much as possible. Learn as many softwares as possible. So I obviously recommended Avid and Premiere in this video. I also recommend DaVinci. If you ever get the opportunity to shadow someone in a post house, shadow every department possible, because knowing how things work in like the grand scheme of things and in the chain of production just helps you visualize why you're doing the things you're doing. And remember to ask questions if you don't understand why you're doing something. I hope you guys like this video. Remember, if you have any questions at all, just comment down below and we'll get back to you as quickly as possible. And also remember to check out the rest of the GradLife series here on the UCA YouTube channel. I hope you have a lovely day, and I'll see you guys around. Bye!